Welcome to Africa's Core. As we start the course, I want you to keep in mind two things. That the aim of the course is to understand the context of Africa through two approaches. One is understanding key historical developments that have shaped the world that we live in today. And secondly is the ability to interpret your own societies as well as other societies. We'll be using a simplified model for doing this, and it will help you to think about what sustains society and what changes society, whether that society is in Africa or anywhere in the world, whether the society you are studying is a society that is in 2017 or a society that is 200,000 years ago. Here is our simple model. I call it the cake. So, a simplified approach to understanding societies is to think of them as composed of three elements. Every society must have an economy. There must be a way in which people are able to consume things as well as produce things. There's also a way in which that society is organized, either in families or nations or ethnicities or workplaces or according to religion. There are also ideas and beliefs that people in that society hold, normally about what is true or what is acceptable, what is moral, and that guides the way that they interact. Depending on who you speak to, and also depending on the particular event that you are describing, some people have argued over a long time that the key things that keep societies going, the way that they are functioning, and the key things that determine changes in society come from one of these three layers. The first one at the bottom is economy, also including ecology. So the amount of rainfall, for instance. So societies that are in deserts tend to be structured in ways that are different from societies that are in places of heavy rainfall, for instance. Such people believe that the economy determines, and this is a key word, that means it's the primary and most important cause, what happens at the level of organization and the level of beliefs. There is a famous paper, for instance, on why, for instance, pigs are considered unholy in religions that emerged around Western Asia. This argument by a scholar called by a scholar called, I forget his name. Yes. This argument by a scholar called Marvin Harris argues that because it was a dry desert environment and pigs require a lot of water to sustain them and to cool them in the heat, that led to the development of a proscription at the level of ideas against the raising of pigs. So although it expresses itself as a religious injunction at this layer, where pigs are seen as unholy or unacceptable to eat, his argument is that the determining cause is in fact the ecology or the economy of the place. That in a desert, because you do not have a lot of water, it's not sustainable for the organization of that society for you to produce lots of pigs, therefore pigs become unholy. And this, depending on who you are, could be a very convincing argument because in the very same region, pigs were consumed for thousands of years before the climate changed. So that's one way of using what is called a materialist argument. Materialists believe that the economy determines organization and beliefs. We'll be applying materialist arguments to the themes that we'll be covering, for instance, the colonization of the world, the establishment of nation states, the rise of capitalist production, and many of the things that obsess our societies today. So, materialists, of course, are challenged by idealists. Idealists believe that it is ideas that cause organization, even economy. I'll give you an example. If you are a religious person and part of your religious practice means that you have to give money. So, for example, if you are Muslim and you must give zakat, or if you are a Christian and you must give an offering in church, or if you are a Hindu and you must do a long pilgrimage that costs money. It's not because you're trying to increase your self-interest that you are spending that money. In fact, it might make you poorer to spend that money, but because you strongly believe that what is happening is true, or because you strongly believe that God demands that you do what you're doing, you are going to, because of that belief or idea, organize yourself with other believers in your place of religious worship and are going to engage in economic activities, which is the distribution of consumables, because of that belief. That cannot be explained according to the economy, because people who do not believe in that, for instance, will not participate in those kinds of distribution. So that is approach number 2. The third and final approach is one that looks at social organization. These people think that the primary cause or the determining factor in a society is the way that it is organized. So the beliefs that people have and the economy that they have are driven by the institutional configuration of that society. So, for example, assume that in your society you have multiple clans. I come from a clan-based society, and this determines a lot of the way that people live in the environment, who they are allowed to marry, and how the political system is structured in that society. Our beliefs, as well as our economy, reflects the organization. So people who take this approach, which we will call an institutionalist approach, institutionalism, okay, there we are, argue that that is more important. So, for instance, if you are a Dlamini, which is my clan, you are organized in such a way that you cannot marry anyone within that clan, which consists of tens of thousands of people. It's strictly forbidden within the society. So to sustain this organization, we have a prohibition against marrying inside the clan. It also perhaps affects the economy in terms of how much we are willing to spend to go and find people who are outside the clan to extend that clan lineage, to start new families or to start new households. You can also apply this, for instance, to looking at industrialized societies. Because people live in cities and have to go to work in the morning, they end up, for instance, engaging in economic activity that sustains those divisions. They go to malls for shopping and they start living in suburbs to get access to their workplaces. Depending on who you are, some people might argue for a materialist explanation, others might emphasize that the organization that is there limits those people. Take your government or your country, for instance. Your country is organized in such a way that you are registered as a citizen of that country. Your movement across the world is determined by this international system of nation states. Even if you had a lot of money, you can't be not a citizen of your country if you're going to be able to move with ease in the current global system. So the organization or the institutions that are in our society determine the way that we engage in our economy and also determine our beliefs. Many of us are strong believers that we are Germans or Moroccans or Swazis. These ideas come from the fact that we have organization that is like this. If those states disintegrated, it might be difficult for us to sustain those ideas of nationality. So these are the 3 approaches we will be using for this course. As you look at all the material that will be coming, keep in mind to think how each of these factors is affecting what is going on, and I think it's more fun to think of which one is the most determining factor.